Fantastic. All right, now I can see you all in the gallery. Grace Roberts, Happy New Year. Lisa, oh my gosh, so good to see you. Shauna, what is going on? Russell G. Jones, you all, Russell is a fantastic actor in New York City. I've known him since we were in the 3rd freaking grade. Renee, how are you? Good to see you. Mike Daniel, Marion, wow, long time no see. Looking at your beautiful face. I know I got a lot of your screenshots on here because you didn't want to turn your cameras on. That's okay. Monica Castillo, what's up? All right, let me get this party started. So listen, a lot of times when the new year hits, people, as you all know, get excited because there's something about when the calendar physically changes, we see it as an opportunity to hit the reset button, to do something new, to really take ownership of some of the goals that we've had that we didn't really get to prior, right? So you all have heard this before. People will, a common example is, I'm going to get in better shape. I'm going to lose weight. So most gyms, you'll see a huge spike in attendance and new memberships at the very beginning of the year. And if you go to the gym at this time of the year, it's going to be a little more traffic than normal. And what tends to happen is that it's going to thin out by the end of January, beginning of February, because people are going to fall back into their patterns. So I've been having these conversations. I just talked to a friend who reached out to me before this call started. And she said, I really want to get on the call, but I'm dealing with some stuff at home with my teenagers. I really want to get on the call, Ed, but I have a father-in-law, somebody else said this to me, that's dealing with onset dementia. I have 6 other people living in the same house, and I have to go be with him at the hospital because it's advancing rapidly. And I'm finding so often that people are and can be inundated with life. Life has a way of constantly coming at us. Me getting ready for the call, I'm looking at Blake. I gotta, make his food. I gotta make sure that I get him in bed on time. So I'm like, man, how am I gonna do the call? Get him in bed on time. Oh man, I gotta give him a shower. Just came back from a birthday party. He was running all around, adrenaline monkey, and he's all sweaty and funky. And I don't want to put him to bed funky, So like, we're always trying to figure things out. And the idea that you have goals, dreams, hopes, and ambitions that deep down inside, there's some stuff in you that has not come out yet. There's some things that you haven't tapped into yet. It's a gnawing, irritating feeling. It's this divine dissatisfaction, as Martha Graham would say, that constantly stirs that core in your belly, because deep down inside that you're here to do something unique and special with your life. Now, whatever that is, everyone has a different calling. Everyone has a different suit of armor that they're here to wear into the difference. So when you're looking at patterns, okay, that's the first thing that I want.
Use the restroom. She called out.
Guys, please make sure you mute yourselves.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
Pattern recognition. Write those 2 words down. Why is that important? Because more than 90% of our behavior is habitual. Okay. And Monica, I'm going to make you the co-host in case we need help with muting people and all of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
So pattern recognition is important because we do things on automatic pilot sometimes. We're not even aware that we're doing things. And the reason so many people make New Year's resolutions and they come up with a new goal list and then they don't follow through is because they think that because it's a new year, that equals a new you. And just because the calendar turns over doesn't mean that you're turning over. That's not the way that it works. And until you're willing to do some specific work, you will continuously live the same life over and over again. There's a phrase that's used in corporate America. It's called the Peter Principle. And the Peter Principle dictates that you will be at a job and you will get so familiar and comfortable in that environment, and you can do your job well. But when it comes time to promote you, well, you end up getting promoted even if you're not qualified, because you've just been around for a long time. And people are accustomed to you. They don't really know how to get rid of you, and they don't want to deal with any fallout if they try to. So they end up promoting you because they like you, they're familiar with you, but you're not really qualified for the position. How many of you have ever been in a situation, or you've heard one of your friends talk about, man, I cannot believe that person got that promotion, especially as hard as I've been working. Like, I know what I've been doing. How'd they get promoted over me? Well, this happens all of the time because people, they stop growing. They just keep doing the same thing over and over again. They say, well, I've been on this job for 20 years, man. I know what I'm doing. Well, you've been living the same life every year, 20 years in a row. That's different than evolving, than growing. And many of us can do that in our own personal journeys. So have you ever been to a reunion? Could be a high school reunion. Maybe you run into someone that you haven't seen in 10 or 15 years, and you don't recognize the person. Like, you know them, but you don't physically recognize them, because the choices that they've been making in their life is showing up in their person, and they're literally unrecognizable. Why? Because they have become susceptible to specific patterns in their life, and they're not conscious that they've been making choices that are wreaking havoc on their person, on their vehicle. So pattern recognition is where it starts. And what you do is you look at your life and you ask some very important questions. Number one, are there any behaviors that I have been engaging in that are to my detriment, that are doing damage? It could be emotional eating. Many of us have gone through phases where we're dealing with the stresses of life, a high pressure job, not enough income, relationship issues, challenges with our kids, not being where we want to be. All of these things coming at once for some. Not enough help. Some of you are single parents on this Zoom. Some of you are dealing with brand new situations of taking care of your elders. And so comfort will come from food, because food is easily accessible. It's it makes us feel good instantly, instant gratification. And when you're eating it in the moment, it's not like when you take a big scoop of ice cream, you all of a sudden expand, 3 or 4 pounds. It doesn't work. It's incremental, right? Over time. It was Howard Thurman that said that people don't make drastic, harmful decisions and their life immediately veers off course. It's a series of decisions imperceptibly over time. And it's like a slow veering off the path. And you look up and 6 years have gone by and you're not healthy, you're not feeling good, and you're not happy with some of your relationships or your current situation and your income or your job, etc. But you've just gotten used to it. And we live in survival mode. We know how to survive. And there's a difference between survival mode and thriving mode. So you got to look at those patterns of behavior that you're engaging in that are based on just getting through the day instead of getting from the day. And for those of you, I was talking with Victor Parrish about this the other day. If you're a parent, you understand it's a different level of focus that is required if you have aspirations beyond parenting. If you have dreams and goals, if you have responsibilities and obligations outside of your household, it's a different level of focus that's required. Some of you have parents that need your time, energy, and attention. Some of you are in the sandwich generation. The sandwich generation are those of us that are taking care of our children and taking care of our parents at the same time. So there's a different level of focus that's required for you to make your dreams and your goals a priority. So recognizing any patterns that you have been engaging in that have been wreaking havoc in your life. Again, if it's eating is an example. Lack of exercise. You have a habit of not working out. Working out is a habit, not working out is a habit too. One of the reasons why I do things on social media where I'll do like challenges that you could do at home is because I want people to understand it takes 5 minutes. You can do something 5 minutes a day for yourself. It's not like the things that I do, it's for my mind and my spirit more than it is for my body. The body just reaps, the body reaps the benefit of it, but it's really a mental thing. And I know if I could get some of you to join me on these little 5-minute things that I do, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, calf raises, literally 5 minutes on the floor at home, planking for another 4 minutes, so maybe 10 minutes total, because I want people to feel like, hey, no matter how busy I am or how much life I got going on, I can always take a few minutes out for myself. And I know that if I could get you on that track for 30 days, then I have a greater probability for you to take it with you longer, all right? So that's another pattern that you want to be aware of. Do you have a pattern of saying you're going to do something and not doing it? Do you have a pattern of not honoring your word? And for example, if I tell George that I'm going to call him tomorrow and then I don't call him, well, you think, well, Ed, you know, stuff happens. That's a little thing. Well, how you do anything is how you do everything. Got that from T. Harv Eker years ago. He wrote Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you're not mindful with the small things, what happens is you cultivate a habit pattern of not keeping your word. So if you tell me you're going to call me, I know you're not going to call. You won't do it. So if you're not reliable with the small stuff, well, how do you build up to the bigger stuff in terms of building relationship? First and foremost with yourself and with others. And this integrity piece is important, you all, because when you, how many of you all have ever set goals in your life? All right, blink your eyes, raise your hands. You can raise your hands. You can hit the raise hand button if you don't have your screen on. How many of you have set goals and you didn't follow through? Okay, what was the consequence of not following through? What happened to you? Did somebody come and kick you out of your home? Did someone come and take all of your earthly possessions away? Did you get 10 lashes? Were you put in timeout? Probably not. And so what happens is we develop a habit pattern of setting goals, getting excited at the beginning of the year. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. We don't follow through. There's no consequence. There's no accountability. And what do? We do it all over again. We do it all over again because there's no, so part of it is being able to learn how to position yourself to live a higher vibrational and a higher quality of life. Okay. I remember the dog food challenge. So Lisa's talking about one of the things that I've done in the past with people that have goals. I said, listen, you know, I'm coaching them. I said, well, here's the formula in order to produce the results. You got to do the activity, you got to do the reps. So I'll give you an example. This is not exactly what it is. It was a business, but I'm gonna give you an example everybody can relate to. You come to me, you say, Ed, I would like to get in better shape and I would like to develop some definition in my arms and my stomach. Great. Here's the formula. Over the next 45 days, you're going to not eat these things except on your cheat day. you're going to do this much cardio every week, and you're going to do this many reps and sets of push-ups, sit-ups, dips, for example, and plank time, okay? So I give them the formula. If the week comes and goes and they didn't do the specific number that I gave to them, certain number of sit-ups, push-ups, dips, plank time, cardio time. It's just, these are all based on effort, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't take any skill to do this. It takes commitment. If they don't do it by the end of the week, they have a can of Alpo dog food, and they will take a spoonful of that dog food and they will eat it and they will record it. They will send me the recording of it because that tells me they didn't follow through. They didn't keep their word. Then we have to have a conversation about integrity. Then we have to have a conversation about consistency. And nobody wants to eat a spoonful of dog food, right? So what did I do? I created accountability. I made sure there was a consequence for not following through on a goal that's personal to them. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that you will show up early for your job? You will work hard for your job. You will stay late for your job. You will show up early for your kids. You will drop them off on time to the sporting events and pick them up. You will go to the games even though you haven't had a wink of sleep in 3 days because you want to show up for your kids. You will overextend yourself for family members. You will be kind and generous to your friends, but you treat yourself and your goals and your dreams like crap, like hot garbage. You don't give yourself any regard whatsoever. You'll do everything for everybody else, but when it comes time for you to show up for yourself, you keep falling short. Why do you abuse yourself like that? What is so special about you that you think it's okay to demean and degrade God's gift and blessing on your life that God gave to you? Why is that okay? It's easier to create accountability on your job because somebody else is telling you what to do. It's easier to make sure your kids are clean and fed and clothed and on school on time because you're bouncing to somebody else's drum. We drop my son off at he goes to his private school and they do all that stuff. We don't got to do none of that. We just got to make sure he gets there and then we pick him up. But when it comes time for us to take the same kind of time and care and consideration and focus on our goals and make our health and wellness a priority, we keep dropping the ball. We keep dropping the ball. And what do we say? I didn't have time. I ain't got time, man. Look, man, I got to take the kid. I'm like Uber for the kids, man. I'm driving them here. I'm driving them there. Look, man, my job is demanding this. Look, I'm a business owner, Ed. I got to do all the promotion. I got to do all the marketing. I do all the sales, and I'm raising my kids too. I ain't got time. No. See, until you begin to take on a new identity, then you will not produce the results that's going to get you what you want in terms of the outcome. The identity, like what is your self-talk? All right, so that's the next thing, your self-talk. So first one is pattern recognition. Identifying those patterns that we are engaging in that are self-sabotaging, that are harmful, and that are not getting us closer to our outcomes. Whether it's your health goals, your relationship goals, your career goals, your financial goals, your spiritual goals, intellectual and development goals. If you're not moving closer to those ideal outcomes and it's moving you further away, you make a note of it, write it down. Okay, here's a pattern that I engage in that I'm very aware of now. I'm habitually late. I tell you I'm gonna be there at 8, I don't show up till 8:30, 8:15. Well, see, that goes back to the integrity piece, ladies and gentlemen. You think that it's cute. You always late, you never on time. Oh, girl, I know, you know me. I had to get ready. I had to put on that extra something. You think it's cute. It's not cute to be out of integrity. That's a habit pattern recognition. So you got to make some better choices. You have to be more empowering. Now, listen, I understand stuff comes up. I understand that, you know, things happen. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you developing and cultivating such a space and a place that for you not to be there on time is unusual. Like something really must have happened if you didn't show up on time. Not people expecting you to always be habitually late. That's not a legacy that you want to build. That's not an example that you want to set. It's not cute. So self-talk, okay? The power of your tongue. You've heard this before. The most important conversation that you have is with who? Yourself. Who do you spend more time with than anybody else? Yourself. Whose thoughts are running through your head more than anybody else's? Your thoughts. So the tongue is like a rudder to the ship. It's guiding the ship, the direction of the ship, and how quickly and efficiently the ship is moving. And if you're not mindful of the words that you're using to describe yourself, how you talk to you about you, to describe your situation, to describe your outcomes, your aspirations, do you understand that scientifically, it has been clearly demonstrated that more than 70% of people's self-talk is negative? That's right, Tatiana, life and death is in the power of the tongue. More than 70% of people's self-talk is negative. I'll prove it to you. How many of you all over the course of the holidays talk down to yourself, beat yourself up a little bit? Maybe it wasn't what you wanted. Maybe you weren't on your A game throughout the holidays. Maybe you were dealing with some stress. Maybe you had some stuff going on and you took the opportunity to beat yourself up a little bit. You've had goals and aspirations. You've been out and about and you've seen something and you said to yourself, I would like to have that. I could see myself in that situation, whatever it is, okay? It's up to you. You know what this is. I'm not going to ascribe that to you. But all of us have had these experiences where we've looked at something that is greater than our current situation. And we've said to ourselves, I'd like to be in that situation. And then not long after saying that, well, I can't. Yeah, but how am I going to do that? Look at where I am right now. Look at what I've done up to this point. How the hell would that ever happen? You ever heard the phrase pipe dream? That's a pipe dream. Like us, that's just, you just living in fantasy land. And that's talking down to yourself. That's self-sabotaging. That's negative self-talk, because you're literally de-edifying you as unworthy, incapable of such aspiration and outcomes. So there's 3 books that, there's one that I haven't read, but I love the title, so I'll give it to you. There's 2 that I have read. Hung by the Tongue is a great book to really understand the power of language and words. It's written from a traditional Christian perspective, so I'm not here to promote any particular religion. It doesn't matter to me what your religion is. What matters to me is that you level up. What matters to me is that you become a better version and drive a better vehicle in the lane that you've chosen, all right? So if you're Muslim, if you're Jewish, if you're Catholic, if you're Taoist, Buddhist, doesn't matter. The words in Hung by the Tongue, you'll understand. Second book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Third book was The Tongue. I wrote it down. Oh, The Tongue, A Creative Force. The Tongue, A Creative Force. This is just some reference points for you all to have, because when you understand the power of words, you're much more careful with them. One of my friends, he said, what if you only had 1 million words? Okay, what if God only gave you 1 million words to use your whole life? You know how much more mindful you would be of the conversations you would engage in and the words that you use? Everything would change for you. Somebody will go come up to you, they want to start talking about, have you seen how bad it is with inflation? Have you looked at the gas prices? Did you know Moo and them down the street, they got picked up the other? You was like, I ain't got time for all that. Doggone it, you just made me, that's 10 words, that's 20 words. Oh, time out, right? You wouldn't even engage in some of the foolishness that people want to engage in. How much time people spend talking about things that they have absolutely no control over. I'm compassionate. Of course, I want the war in Ukraine and what's happening with Russia attacking them. Of course, I want that to not be going on, and I would love for it to end. But there's nothing I can do about that. I can't spend all of my time and energy on that. I got to focus on what I can do to make this world better. So being mindful of the power of words. Have you ever had a conversation and after the conversation, you were in a, like, you felt like you could walk on water, like you could walk on the moon, like you could do anything? You ever had a conversation where you just felt better? Your energy was different. You felt like, boom. Have you ever had a conversation and you were freaking like pissed off at the end of the conversation and your whole mood changed and you were just like, what in the world is going on? Because words affect your state. It affects your mood and your energy and your emotional state. So when you learn how to use words to your benefit and to your outcome, things change. I'll give you an example. So one of my friends came into my dorm room and they were like, what is this that you have on your walls? I said, well, that's my commitment. And I had written down, so this is important. Side note, I'm not talking about writing something in your phone. I'm talking about writing it on a tablet and where you could see it. Why? Because there's something that happens kinesthetically when you take a pen and you're writing the words down. There's something that triggers in your system because you have the visual of what you're writing and you're thinking what you're writing. And sometimes people are speaking it as they're writing it. There's confirmation in that. There's immediate repetition in that. And I had written down, I will have all A's in these subjects by the end of the semester. And I put it on these note cards, I taped them up. So I see it every day when I woke up, right above the mirror, in my little dorm room. And that's just what I walked around, like meditating and thinking on that over and over and over again. These are the words that I used and that I spoke to myself. Why was that important? Because at the end of that semester, I fell 1 A short. So I had all A's and 1 B. I'd never in my life gotten all A's and 1 B. And I had a big load that semester. That never happened to me, never. I would never have dreamed of doing something like that. But because I made a commitment to reach for something greater, to do something I had never done before, I immediately started to find ways to bring that to fruition, okay? Power of language. See, words are the software of the mind. Language is the software of the mind. So we have the opportunity to program ourselves with language. You ever heard that you've been in a situation and somebody's in a fight and they say something that they don't mean. And you say, well, you can't, you said it, you can't take it back. Like you already put it out there. I didn't mean it. Yeah, I know you didn't mean it, but you said it. And it cut like a knife, like it really hurt when you said that. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. We've had these experiences, correct? So we know the power of words and language. We have to understand that we can use it in the inverse because so many people don't take the time to program themselves. We talk about, and I used to call, and I stole this from Jerry Clark, by the way, great trainer that's retired now. We used to call television the electronic income reducer, the electronic income reducer. And so you look at television programming. Why do they call it television program? First of all, it's telling you your vision. It's telling you your vision. It's program you. If you don't program yourself,
Had you muted?
You're muted, Ed.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Tati. You're gonna see people on their phones, correct? Scroll zone. Because they're being programmed, because they're
Your
being
video's off.
inundated with other people's agendas, with other people's distractions, with other people's noise. So you have to, thank you, Victor. You have to be mindful of the programming that you're laying on yourself. Now, this is where it really, 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 really hit home for me. Really hit home for me. So I started my professional career as an actor, and I made a decision that's what I wanted to do. So I'm living in Cleveland, Ohio at the time. I had just graduated college. I had a degree in psychology, which is pretty much, you know, useless in the marketplace. It's great for learning and understanding people, but I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't want to go get a PhD. So I had a conversation with a mentor, elder. He said, you know, I remember you performing all the time. Why don't you go down to Caramoo? Caramoo's the oldest Black theater in the country. We're down to Caramoo. Realized that's what I want to do. So I was, you know, I went on this pathway of becoming an actor, and I spent all this time taking on different characters, whether it was on the stage or on television or in a film, okay? Now this is where it really got me. So one of the last movies that I did, it was an indie film, it was called Northern Kingdom. And in the movie, I played a war veteran from Iraq who had lost his hand. He played the piano, but he lost his hand in the war. Comes home, you know, no hand, and he smokes and he drinks. So when you're making a movie, the camera's so close to you, you don't. It's different than stage. Stage you can project, but in a film you really have to do those things. Like you have to smoke a lot. You know, I wasn't drinking, but you have to smoke a lot, and you have to be in this particular space in the state. And I remember at the end of that shoot, how horrible I felt, like, because I don't smoke. Like I felt horrible, like my body. I mean, I was always nauseous. And I mean, learning how to smoke so it looks like I'm a smoker, it just took a lot of work. Like I was literally practicing, Victor, smoking cigarettes. Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, what is this for? It's for my art. But here's where it hit home. I realized that in writing out my biographies for all these different characters and characteristics and behavior, energy, movement, I'm creating a human being. I asked myself, why can't I do this for my life? And this was when I had the great Les Brown was in my life more prominently at that time and in my ear about speaking, telling me, you need to speak. I'm telling you, I see it in you. I didn't see it, he saw it. I listened to him. And in doing that, I was like, well, why don't I just approach this the same way I approached all these roles that I play? So when we talk about programming, ladies and gentlemen, some of you have some specific goals that you want to achieve this year, okay? And if you want, put it in the chat if you have something specific, like give me something specific that's important to you that you would like to achieve this year. Just one thing. You might have a list of 5, might have 10, but just give me one. One thing in the chat, I got the chat up so I can see it, that is important to you that you would like to fulfill. Anything. Okay, great. Learning to swim. And that's Ashinia. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So Ashinia, first of all, you want to get yourself in the mind of falling in love with the water. Now I'm imagining, and I could be wrong about this, that if you're wanting to learn how to swim and you're an adult, there may be some things that has prevented you from learning to swim up to this point. Maybe you have an issue with water. Maybe there's some fear. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason why you haven't learned to swim up to this point, whatever it is. So the first thing you want to do is, with the power of words, is start programming yourself for that successful outcome. So I would write down, I am so fluid in water. Water is my best friend. Every time I go in the water, she and I grow closer. Every time I get in the water, she and I grow closer. Simple phrase, right? Simple phrase. but I'm literally repeating that to myself every day, multiple times throughout the day, because it doesn't take time or effort to speak to yourself in that way, okay? That's programming. Not you talking about, I'm going to learn to swim, but when I was a kid, somebody threw me in the water and I almost drowned. No, like nobody, first of all, nobody wants to hear about all that. Like you talk about the past. That doesn't help you get in the water, okay? Very simple example. Someone else says, host and MC 10 events a month. Okay, great. So whatever those events may be, whatever arena that you are in, Ronnie, I'm going to make sure that I am affirming to myself, and then on my bathroom mirror, and this is a Bob Proctor phrase that I learned that I think is really impactful. I am so happy and grateful now that I am hosting more than 10 events every single month, serving, impacting, and inspiring such and such community, whatever the community may be. I'm writing that down and I look at it and I read it multiple times a day. One of the things that Mr. Brown told me many years ago, he said, listen, write your goals down, carry them with you all the time. So I would have goal cards, index cards, I just carry them with me. And whatever, if I was on the subway, waiting for the, I just pick them up, read them to myself, put them back in my pocket, go on with my day. Any moment that I have, pick them out again, read them to myself. Why? Because I'm programming myself for that successful outcome. So Ronnie begins to live in the emotional realization of that outcome. Even though it hasn't happened yet, she's living in her future. So there are 3 phases of life, correct? There's the past, there's the present, there's the future. The past, there's nothing that we can do about the past, but learn from it. And we use it as a reference point, and we can use it as a teaching tool, as I'm doing here now. We have the present. Now, what's beautiful about the present is that it is fleeting. It's gone instantaneously. Like we just had a moment together. It's in the past. We just had another moment right now. It's in the past. It's fleeting. So in the present, we have the ability to live fully in the future. And that's where it begins to get fun. Think about the relationship that you're in right now. The person that you're with. When you first met that person, you were envisioning and seeing some things, some greater possibilities before they came about. Yes or yes? So you started imaging and living and anticipating a vibrant future with that person before it came about, because you were living in your future, even though you were in the present moment. So Ronnie begins to consciously and consistently engage in living in her future with that specific outcome, and she's programming herself and being mindful of it, doing it consistently. Get rid of old habits. So Shauna, that's a great point. This is important. This happens all the time. People, they are inspired, they are motivated, and they pick up a new book, they go to an event, they get on a Zoom like this, they feel lifted up, they got some new tools, some new information, they're excited. Let's go, baby. Here's the challenge. They haven't taken the time to do the inventory in pattern recognition, self-sabotaging behavior, thoughts, language, haven't done that work. So what they're doing is they're putting the inspirational content, the ideas, and the information on top of all that other stuff. And see, that other stuff is still there. It's waiting to boil over. It's like spray painting over rust. You take the inspiration, the motivation of good information, and you spray paint it over your rust and your plaque of years and years of abuse, negative self-talk, poor habit patterns, and limiting thoughts and behavior. And you wonder why you don't follow through. You wonder why you're not being consistent with what you say you want to produce in terms of your outcome, because you have to unlearn before you can learn. This is why the internal mechanism in looking at ourselves is so important in identifying those spots. Now we have blind spots too. Got to be willing to look at those blind spots. Got to be willing to look at those things that are still haunting us. I love the phrase that I heard Mr. Brown say, you may be done with your past, but your past is not done with you. You may be done with your past. You think you're done with your past, but your past is not done with you. Because there are patterns that will come from trauma. Many of us have experienced varying degrees of trauma throughout our life. First time you had your heart broken, changes you. Now you're not as trusting. Now you're not as open. Now you're not as giving. First time you experience betrayal, hurts. Now you're more guarded. Now you're not willing to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. First time you experience loss. Now you don't want to get so close to the next person because at some point you may lose that person. It's scary. You don't want to commit. It's scary. You don't want to go there. It's scary. So we have to recognize that there are parts of our past that may be impeding our future. They may be blocking our progress. So again, that's pattern recognition. This is why people, they go to events, they get on Zoom like this, and then they go back to their life. They just go back to doing what they've always done because it's comfortable, it's familiar. And until you learn to fall in love with the uncomfortable, you're going to be missing out on so much and leaving so much on the table, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you all. So, power of words. Words are so powerful. When you think about faith, the proverbial definition, the evidence of things hoped for, the substance of things not seen. Faith comes through hearing and hearing and hearing. When things go to your heart, it hits different. It means more. And the heart, if you take away the T, you have hear. I am hearing. You take away the H, you have the ear. It goes into the ear over and over and over and over again. If you look at the word earth, that's heart. This is the power of words and language, okay? There's so much power in how we can utilize the pieces of the word puzzle to create the outcomes that we are so forth committed to, but you just have to make the commitment. Now, here's the challenge. Distractions, noise, it's at a different level right now. I was talking to Nadia about this. I was saying, like, babe, I sometimes I find myself, I start scrolling, and I like MMA, okay? So I love like the little highlights from the fights. And I start looking at knockouts, and I'll be scrolling. It's like 15 minutes later, I'm still scrolling. I'm like, hey, you just got sucked into the scroll zone, bro. Like, time out, like, calm down. So social media is designed to set traps for all of us. And this is creepy, isn't it? Like, think about this. Social media has an imprint on everybody on this Zoom. It knows what every single person on this Zoom is into, what you're more inclined to look at and watch. And so then it puts it in your feed. So when you get on, and maybe you're getting on just to put up something positive, to share a good memory, to share a nice, cool pic of you and your family or whatever it is. And you didn't mean to be on there longer than 2 or 3 minutes, but because social media knows you're on and starts sending you things based on their agenda, 30 minutes later, you're still on there and you've gotten off track with your goals and your dreams, just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, sabotage is very imperceptive. Not getting to your goals, not doing the reps, it's little subtle things like this that accumulate over time. And if there's an app that will tell you the screen time that you're using on your phone. So you're more mindful of how much time out of the 168 hours of the week, how many hours are you on your phone? You should know that. Because I understand a lot of us use the phone for business. A lot of us are on the phone because we're making calls, etc. But be mindful of that because it's a totally different level. Like when I was a kid, we had the dial, the phone where you had the dial, It's like it took about 45 seconds just to dial the doggone number. So you didn't even want to be, I was not incentivized to even go near a phone. I stayed in the playground of my imagination. I didn't want to be on nobody's phone, let alone having a freaking computer in my pocket, right? So you got to be mindful of the minefields that we have to navigate. Now, here's another part of the weapon of mass distraction, which is the phone, the computer, is that some of us are going to have to make a decision to be a part of that noise. Like I've made a conscious decision to be a part of the noise because I have chosen to be a healthy distraction. Like if you're getting on my page or if you're spending time with me, I'm focusing on something that can add value to your journey. I'm not jumping out of windows and falling out of chairs and, you know, pranking people and throwing water and farting in elevators and all. I ain't doing none of that. Okay. I'm not saying that it's not entertaining. Some of it's entertaining, I'm for sure. I'm just saying you got to be mindful. So when you're on your phone, set your timer. I got a sand timer. All right. So that allows me to flip it. So I can look at the sand dripping. So, okay, I got a post. I'm gonna, you know, have some interaction with some people, say hello, give somebody some love, and then I'm out. Like set a timer on your phone. Turn off your notifications. Some of you all got notifications for stuff that has nothing to do with what you want to do. Nothing at all. Turn off the notifications. Stop allowing your phone and social media to run you. You need to run your phone. It is an incredible tool. It is a cash register. It is a machine for good if you use it for that, but be mindful of how you're using it. So let's talk about the accountability mirror, okay? I got this from David Goggins. Anybody that's coached with me, you know that's my guy. He wrote a book called Can't Hurt Me, and his second book just came out called Never Finished. So, you know, I'm going through that bad boy with a fine-tooth comb, all right? But read Can't Hurt Me first if you have it, and listen to the audio. He has audios for both, they're amazing. So the accountability mirror is when you and I go in the mirror, we have a conversation. Here's what I want you to do, because I got this from him. I want you to record the conversation when you're in the mirror. I have been falling short. When I look at my current circumstance, here's what I'm not happy with. Here's where I've been BSing myself. Here's where I've been making excuses. And I'm sick and tired of making excuses. I'm sick and tired of living a weak life. I'm sick and tired of not being ranked up. I'm sick and tired of not being promoted. I'm sick and tired of not earning what I'm worth. I'm sick and tired of not feeling good about myself. I'm sick and tired of not being healthy and well. Here's where I've fallen short. I have fallen short and dropped the ball completely here, here, and here. And you're recording this, okay? But you're looking in the mirror as you're doing it. I know that this person doesn't believe in me. This person in my family told me I wasn't ish. This person over here said I would never be nothing. This person over here laughed when I said I wanted to do this. And I have been guilty of talking down to myself. Enough is enough. You're recording all of this while you're looking in the mirror, accountability mirror. Because it's gotta mean something to you. It's a very personal exercise. It's gotta mean something to you. Then you listen to it. Listen to it while you're working out. Listen to it when you start your day, because that creates accountability. It's like that real, raw, rugged conversation you gotta have with yourself that only you can have with you, because you gotta love yourself enough to do that, to take that extra step. Let me tell you something. 98% of the population, they ain't doing stuff like this. They ain't even thinking about it. They ain't even thinking about it. They're just going through life. They're just going from one thing to the other, just going through life, existing. You don't want to be that person. You're more than that. Your dreams and your goals are worth more than that. You're worthy of everything that you aspire to. But you got to position yourself, ladies and gentlemen, for success. You have to be strategic about it. Why? Listen, why do you think, I mean, Why does Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, why do they spend so much painstaking time, energy, effort, man and woman power to make sure that you are inundated and distracted with their content and their BS? Why? Because it's making them gazillionaires. You mean to tell me that you can't be a little more strategic about your own personal success in life and living a higher caliber and quality of life for yourself? Getting back to the integrity piece, you got to make that a habit. When I give somebody my word, it's law, it's done. When I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. I came up with the idea for this call, like whenever you heard from me about this call was right when I had the idea. I was like, this has to happen. It has to happen right now because I know what people are feeling because I'm feeling it. And I need this call. This call is for me as much as it is for you. And when we come together, we see each other and we see the names and the screens and we look and I know some of you don't have your cameras on, but we're all here. There's something about that collective power that aspires to be better, that resonates with our spirit, and we move forward. But you got to have that conversation with yourself. And some of you may not enjoy this, you may disagree with it, and that's okay. But here's what I believe. There are many times throughout your journey that you must create your own hell so you don't end up there. I'll say it again because some of you missed it. There are many times throughout your journey that you must create your own hell so you don't end up there. What do I mean? What does that mean? Have you ever taken a class, like a cardio class or a boot camp class, and you go into the class and you're a little nervous because you don't really know what to expect, spinning class, something you've never done, right? Take a class, you're a little nervous because you don't know what to expect. And you're wondering, are you going to embarrass yourself in front of because you're in front of all these people? Like, am I going to be the one that can't keep up? Am I going to be the one that passes out? I don't know. Like all these ridiculous thoughts start running through your head. But then you start engaging in the class, right? I want you to type it in the chat. Tell me what thoughts come to your head at the point when your lungs start to burn and the sweat is coming out of all pores. What thoughts come to your head at that point? Any of you that have ever taken a class? I'm scrolling down the chat now to see what y'all are putting in here. Thank you. Some say quit. I can't do it. Why did I do this? Why? Russell said I needed this. That's his mindset. Lisa said I didn't die. I must push myself. What was I thinking? Oh my God, right. So depending upon your level of conditioning is what comes out of your mouth in that moment, ladies and gentlemen. I love the different answers here because for some of you, it is, what the hell am I doing? I want to quit right now. That's the body talking to the mind. That's the body talking to the mind. 98% of the people, they're going to listen to the body. If you allow your body to run your life, you're not going to reach anywhere near your peak. But the mind, when it controls the body, I needed this. Is this the best you got? Is this all you got? I mean, I'm loving this pain. I'm enjoying the suffering right now because I know there's something greater on the other side of it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm talking about right there. See, when you create your own hell, you ain't gonna end up there. See, hell, beautiful definition, is meeting the man or the woman you could have been or you were supposed to be at the end of your journey. That's hell. But when you create your own hell, because it's not fun. Boot camp is not fun. Suffering is not fun. I'm doing a challenge at the start of this month. It's 1,000 push-ups a day on top of the workouts that I'm already doing. Do you really think that I'm jazzed up and excited? Yeah, actually I am, because I've conditioned myself to embrace uncomfortable situations because I know what's on the other side of it. Look, you can't fake this stuff. It comes out of you. People can feel it. They can feel it in your energy. They know if you've been cutting corners, but they also know if you haven't been cutting corners. They know if you've been going the extra mile, but they also know if you've been trying to find shortcuts, taking the easy way out. Ladies and gentlemen, an excuse is a well-planned lie. Excuses are the nails that build houses of failure. The body communicates to you a way out because the body knows you. It's been with you your whole life. It knows your weak spots. It knows your susceptibilities. It knows what is the best way to distract you. It knows how to rationalize and justify you being a punk. The body is here to ensure that you punk out, that you wimp out, that you flake out. The mind, when you take the time to program it, when you're doing these things that we're talking about in terms of unlearning, so you can learn, being mindful of your habit patterns, pattern recognition, and taking the time to cultivate the right words and language so you can affirm the outcomes that you're committed to and that you're talking to yourself in a self-explanatory style that is constantly uplifting and challenging you to be better. That's when the mind takes over the body. It's the most important work that we can do. And most people will not do it. Why? Because they're spending all their time letting someone else program them. People live vicariously through characters on screen. They watching TV and television shows and movies and reality TV shows and social media, scrolling, watching people fighting, watching somebody get shot, watching the news. Like they're giving all of their precious real estate to fools and idiots and fake people. Facebook, we call it fake book. Instead of really taking the time to cultivate a narrative that they can grow from and live off of and eat off of. I'm not saying you have to be extreme. Of course, there are great movies. There are great shows. Nadia got me on Squid Game. I just watched it. I was like, it's so, like, I was so fascinated how they did that. The humanity in that series. I was blown away. There's value. I'm not saying there's not value. I'm just saying be mindful. Be mindful when you have chill time. Be mindful what you are going to watch. Is there purpose in that? Ted Lasso. Never seen it. I know it's a great show though, because it's got themes of leadership, coaching, and motivation. I'm all about that. I will promote Ted Lasso to the end of time because I got it from a good reference, my brother. So being mindful that when I put myself in uncomfortable situations and I'm taking the time to discipline myself, Nadia and I would run this hill in San Diego. It's all uphill. The first, I want to say maybe 3/4 of a mile. It's all uphill. It's the worst part of the run for us. But I loved and looked forward to attacking that hill because it kicked my ass so many times. I was like, one day I'm gonna kick the hill's butt. Like one day I'm gonna get after it. It's not gonna conquer me. And it kicked my butt. I got up the hill, but it kicked my butt. But that's a phrase, an example of putting yourself in hell so I don't have to end up there. Meaning, I don't want to end up. Do you know how many people that I know that have to get dialysis 5-6 hours a day, 3-4 times a week? I say to myself, man, that's 20 hours a week on dialysis. I would rather spend 7 hours a week in the gym. I'll take 7 hours a week and I'll put myself through hell, so to speak, okay, than end up there being on dialysis. Don't nobody want to be on dialysis. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes we have to make difficult choices for better outcomes because we have decided to be an example. You know, I talked to you about Russell G. Jones at the beginning. I have watched him over the years make very powerful, deliberate choices as an artist and a contributor to the community of New York City theater artists. With his theater company, he's worked with, I mean, I could name actors, the long list of actors and shows that he's been on. I mean, just IMDb or Google Russell G. Jones. He's a bad boy. But the reason I'm talking about him is because he's made the hard choices so often. We've had some meaningful conversations because he's dedicated to a level of art and expression and integrity that most artists just don't have. They can't relate to it. But because of that, he has enlightened and lifted up so many people. He has no idea how much he's impacted my life with his example, but he's made that choice. And he's affecting people that are not even in theater because of the way he lives his life. So when you choose to embrace the uncomfortable, it's not just about you. This is what y'all got to get. It's not just about you, or I don't like, people say to me, why do you get up or why do you run, right? I don't like running. That's why I run. I despise it. I used to run a mile and a half. It was painful and I hated it and I couldn't wait for it to be over. I start getting around David Goggins. Now it's 5 miles, 6 miles. I think Nadia and I did 6 miles. I think that's our best, running. And I hate running, but I do it because I don't like it, because I'm not going to allow the body to tell me what to do. I'm just not going to do that. My mind has to run this thing because it's too precious. It's too powerful. The goals that you have, the outcomes that you all want to do, it's gravy when you understand the power of this. Nothing as powerful as a made-up mind. So mind over body versus body over mind. You got to make the choice. It's in your hands. Do you want to create your programming or do you want to consume somebody else's? If I'm going to consume someone else's programming, it's very deliberate. Example, Nadia and I like some of the real estate shows, right? Victor used to do real estate. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I can learn some stuff from how they move. I'm studying their self-image, like their confidence. Certain people are more successful than others. Why is that? Well, look at how they talk. Look at what they say to themselves. Look at how they talk about themselves. Listen to their self-explanatory style. When they can walk into a property that's $25 million and sell it with confidence because they have this belief that they've built up. But you also get to see when things don't go well. And how do they respond? One of my favorite things to do is when there's a game, I go to the press conference. I don't even watch the game. I look at the press conferences of what the leaders of the losing team is saying in the press conference, because I learn more from that moment than I do anything else. I want to see how you show up when you lose. So when I'm consuming content, there's purpose. There's always purpose. If it's strictly entertainment, I want to watch Breaking Bad. Haven't watched it yet. I'll watch Breaking Bad when I get around to it. Strictly entertainment. But I love that moment, especially when it's like a tennis match or MMA, when it's one-on-one. I want to see the losing fighter in that moment. Example, many of y'all may have heard of a woman a few years ago. Her name is Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was like an internet sensation because she was one of the first women she was the first woman to really take MMA to a different level, because Dana White was not going to allow female fighters at all. She changed his mind. Long story short, she had this big string of victories. She was very good at arm bars, but she didn't know how to punch. She had no striking game at all. And she finally got exposed when she fought Holly Holm. Holly Holm was a champion kickboxer and a boxer before she got into kickboxing. And Holly Holm destroyed Ronda Rousey. And you know what I was excited about? I felt bad for her, but I was excited about the press conference afterwards. You know what happened? You know what Ronda Rousey said after Holly Holm beat her, after people like Michael Strahan And you know, all these celebrities were like, Ronda Rousey could probably kick my butt. Like, she's the baddest thing on earth. Everybody was talking about Ronda Rousey. When she lost, you know what she said? Nothing. She didn't show up. She didn't show up. Interesting. That talks about your character. That's a character thing, y'all. I'm sure she's a nice person, maybe, I don't know, but that's a character thing. I was like, wow, you had a moment to be a champion. When Conor McGregor lost, I listened to him, what he had to say. This is early. I'm talking about before Dustin Poirier started kicking his butt. But when he first lost, I listened to him. He's like, yep, this is what happened. He showed up, he took his licks, he owned it. So when we're taking inventory of situations in life and who we're going to be, the hard things that we go through, ladies and gentlemen, that's where all the good stuff is. I'm so honored that you all trusted me enough to take time out, because I know how busy you all are. I talk to most of you at some point. There are people here internationally. It's 3 o'clock in the morning in some of the countries that are on here. I know exactly where you are, and you're on here. So much respect to you. Here's what I want you to know. We're going to continue to go through these storms in life. And it's okay. It's okay. Like, I have so much respect when someone trusts me to share whatever they're going through. When I ask you how you're doing, it's not just a question. Like, I really want to know. And if you're struggling, let's talk about it. Let's be strategic about it. If you're not where you want to be, guess what? Most of us aren't anyway. It's okay, right? You don't have to fall into the trap, because I see it so often, especially with social media. All these people are like, oh, I'm living my best life, I'm doing this. That's a snapshot, y'all. Don't buy into that. It's a snapshot. I'm like, how come nobody ever posts, hey, we're getting divorced? It really sucks. Like, nobody ever puts that post up, right? Like, it's just a little glimpse. It's not real. Don't get twisted. Don't get thrown off by that. It's a lot of hype. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And there's someone who's come through on the other side of it. Whatever you're struggling with, someone else has gone through that struggle. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I stand on the shoulders of those who have come before me and those who have led before I've led. And they've taught me and continue to teach me how to show up better each and every day. That's my aspiration for you. Whatever goal, whatever outcome you have, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down one thing. Right now, when we get off this call, one thing that you are specifically committed to for the first 90 days of 2023, all right? One specific outcome. It could be anything that's really, 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 really important to you, all right? And I want you to write that down every single day when you wake up. I'm so happy and grateful that I am 20 pounds lighter. I'm so happy and grateful that I have secured the next promotion that I am now a senior vice president in my job. I'm so happy and grateful that I have clearly demonstrated to my spouse that she is my #1 priority and I love her to the ends of the earth. I'm so happy and grateful that I am full of positive energy and I only engage in positive and prosperous thinking and behavior. Whatever outcome for you, I want you to just that one thing, commit to it with no hesitation. Write it down. This is my friend David Imanite. He gave me this. Write it down. Make it plain. I'm sorry, make it plain, write it down so that those who see it can run to it. So you got to have that vision. You write it down, make it plain so that those who see it can run to it. So you have that clear outcome, whatever that one thing is for you. And just have that conversation with yourself. And when you're talking to yourself, watch your words. If you catch yourself being distracted, give yourself a quick timeout. I was about to go in that scroll zone. I almost got sucked in. Almost got me. Nope. I'm timing it. When you get on social media, do your business, get out. All right. Be purposeful. Use it. Side note, TikTok, there's a lot going on. You all should be aware of this if you're not. In China, TikTok for kids, it's all educational programming and career programming. They don't have kids shaking their boobs, doing stupid pranks, choking themselves out, drinking Listerine. They don't have any of that in China. In the United States, it's all stupid-ish. It's all stupid-ish for the kids, and they're doing it on purpose. So am I on TikTok for business? Yes, but I'm mindful. I know what I'm putting on there. I get in, I get out. I just want y'all to know that if you didn't know, just so you know, because it's not owned, it's owned by China, just so you all know. That's another topic for the day. But so be mindful when you're doing your business, okay? There's 168 hours in the week. Know how you're using them. If you feel like time is getting away from you, then start writing down what you do every 30 minutes. Just make a little note. Okay, I got on the call with Ed at 8 o'clock, just before 8, it's 9:15. That's 90 minutes that I've dedicated to my own personal development. Boom. Just make a quick note of it, where you're spending your time. Identify the time leaks. We all have them. Time leaks. If you hit the snooze button, be mindful of that. If you have trouble getting up earlier, be mindful of that. Newsflash, if you want to get some things done, especially if you're a parent, spouse, you got responsibilities, job, career, parents, you're gonna have to give up some time. I'm sorry. You may not be able to sleep 7 hours like you like. Might be 5 hours for a little bit. It's uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable. I took a nap before this call because I didn't get more than 4 or 5 hours last night. Took a nap. I get it in where I can fit it in. It's not ideal. It is what it is. But I have specific goals that I want to accomplish, and I'm committed to getting those things done. Same thing for you. Same thing for you. So I just wanted to give you all some points and guideposts as we're beginning this year, so that you don't repeat things that haven't worked prior, that you don't fall into the same trap. Some of these things for you have to become non-negotiable. And when it becomes non-negotiable, then it's a wrap. You're going to get it done. You will shock yourself at what you can do. I'm really excited to hear from you all with your goals. So here's what I'd like for you to do. Just do this for me. You can send me a text. You can send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat right now. And just tell me what your one goal is that you want to achieve in the first 90 days, because I'm going to create some accountability for you. And you can use it or not. It's totally up to you. But I wanted to make that available for you so that you know I'm going to be watching you. Because I don't want this just to be like a cool call. Hey, got some good tips, some good insight. It was blah, blah, blah. Because I mean, there's so much more I can get into. We just don't have the time. But I am going to look through the chat to see what the comments were, any takeaways that resonated with you. Go to Ed Blunt on Facebook, on Instagram, and post it up there, right? Like, let people know that we spent this time together to create some value. Because one of the things I'm focusing on is just doing more of this. Like, I love pouring into people. I love speaking, teaching, coaching, training. That's just my sweet spot. So I want to do more and more of that. So share that on social media if you would. Send me an email with your goal and your outcome, and we'll do this. We'll check back in. So in another like 30 days, we'll check in, because I want you all to have like a point for these next 90 days to say, okay, I know I'm going to have to share some of the results and some of the catches that I got over those first 30 days. So I want us to have that experience together, because I think it's important to congregate and to have that, because there's these silos, you all. Like, everybody's more and more isolated. Everybody's more and more in their little silo, and your circles get smaller as you go further along in the journey. And if your circle is only, let's say, your wife or husband and your kids, well, who's leveling you up? That's great, but who's leveling you up? So I love building community like this so we can hold each other accountable. when you get up in the morning, I want my voice in your head. When you're thinking about your exercise, you're like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get uncomfortable. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. And that's what I really want for you all. So I'm excited for 2023. Let's make it very, very special for each and every one of us. Go ahead and unmute yourselves and sign off. And I'll see you guys in about 30 days. I'll give you notification for the next call.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much, Ed.
Awesome.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
you,
You're the
Ed.
See you in
GOAT.
30
Thanks a
days.
lot.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
appreciate you.
All right. Take
You
care.
got
Peace
it.
and blessings.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you for your
Thank you,
energy.
Ed.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you, Ed.
Thank you,
All right,
Ed.
Ed.
Yeah.
It was amazing as usual. God bless you.
You got it. Good seeing you.
Nice
Ed,
team.
thank you so much for making this call happen.
Easy.
I've been
Clarence
telling you
B.
about this for weeks. Appreciate you. Love
Lamar.
you.
We appreciate
Thank
the
you,
positive
Ed.
affirmations.
Great one.
Thank you, Ed.
Oh, my
Thank you, Ed.
pleasure.
It's your girl, Lady J.
Thanks, Ed.
Lady J.
Awesome job, E, as always. Thank you.
Thank you. You got it. Close this bad boy out.